Sitting here with my buddy Byron. Byron, introduce yourself.
A delight. Byron Van Arsdale, Austin, Texas.
Awesome, Byron. And so we're out here currently in Nashville, Tennessee at the Money Multiplier event. And just want to show you guys the different faces of infinite banking because in my group, in my collective outreach out here, you see a lot of younger people or people around my age, millennial style people. But I want you to know that people who are well experienced, well educated, have been around the block a few times, are out here and they recognize the value in which this type of opportunity brings. And so, Byron, how long have you been practicing infinite banking for?
I'm Byron Van Arsdale again. And what Shawn said so eloquently when he said experienced, he means old. So I'm in my late 60s, just so you know, I'm not a young guy. And I've been practicing infinite banking for about 4 years, a little over 4 years. So the most amazing part was I went in really mind blown because you have to look at this a completely different way. And I think that's the ultimate thing is you just cannot see through the normal ways people would look at banks, look at how you spend your money, how you use your money, how you employ your money. You just have to look at it a completely different way.
So, what do you do in your normal life, your 9 to 5, or what were you doing? I don't know if you are retired now and you just do infinite banking, but what was the gig before?
So it's a combination of things because I still am actively working. My
Yep.
wife and I run a company, have for 25 years. My
Nice.
background primarily, although there's numerous parts of it, is being a business coach. So
Gotcha.
I'm used to looking at what is a challenge, how do people move through those things? And quite honestly, it was something that I used all those skills when I got into infinite banking because it was just a different way of looking at things.
Gotcha. Yeah. Tie a lot of similarities to, I mean, this seems to be a great thing for business owners because they really just like you get into business for yourself because you want more control. You want to be the one
Yes.
steering the
Yes.
ship, and that's what it's all about here. What type of things have you recently used your policy for?
Oh, this is fabulous. So I have 3 or 4 different things that I'm using.
Okay.
Number one is the policies, laying them out first and foremost. And then from there, putting them into either interest only investments,
Okay.
putting them into syndicated apartments,
Oh, nice.
putting them into actually cash infusions for one of our companies
Awesome.
to allow for it. And then the final thing I'm doing is something as it's kind of wild, but I really like it. It's called ground floor.
Okay.
And I invest money in ground floor that's developed and they do loans for real estate businesses that are rehabbing generally single family properties and then turning them right back and putting them on the market.
Okay.
And they're a fabulous opportunity right now because we just don't have enough product. My wife writes for the real estate industry, knows a ton about it. And basically she says, no, what we're missing right now is inventory. We need more inventory. So this whole renovation process is a fabulous place to invest.
Definitely. So I think what I'm getting from you are two things I'm really hearing is number one, flexibility. Seems
Yes.
like, you know, you can do so much with your policy because you're in control. The flexibility of that is so much more than a bank. Nobody's coming and asking you, hey, Byron, what are you using this money for? Like, oh, let me check everything out. Let me make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted on the back end. And the other thing is opportunity. When you
Yes.
see opportunity, when you have liquidity, it sounds like you're able to kind of, again, take advantage of those opportunities because you're in control.
You know, and Shawn, there's one other layer that we ought to add in this, and that's because of my age. At my age, I'm looking at a completely different set of parameters. In other words, I'm not looking at paying down mortgages. I'm
Yep.
not looking at funding school for children. I'm not looking at having to buy cars. Everything is tuning down. So how I spend that money with my wife is really important. So we do things like we travel.
Definitely.
And so there's this element, when we talk about the element of control, it's the ability to be able to say, this is what we want to do. And having that money available when I need it, how I need it, and building the systems behind it to keep it all moving is just a huge part of the infinite banking concept. So you have to rethink what you're doing. Then you have to learn how to do it. And then you have to just consistently do it over and over and over again. Oh, and I should say, anybody who thinks, oh man, I like this. This is a get rich quick scheme. No, this is
Long term.
time, consistency. Anyone who's persistent and consistent, and I would say a bit disciplined in how they spend their money, would do really well to look into this concept to understand it.
Agreed.
If you think this is like I'm going to be out in the town and I'm blowing the bucks, this is not the place for you, because it will be one disappointment after another.
Agreed. My mom always told me good things take time. And I think just like this is one of those things, takes time, but boy, does it just get so good. And it just keeps getting better and better. So last question I want to ask you is, what do you feel like trips a lot of people up? Because there's a lot of factors that play into this. And I think people often see this and they're like, this can't all be true. It's all sounds so good. You've got to be, I'm just waiting for you to pull the rug out from under me. But what do you think is a big thing that maybe people that you talk to about it, that you've encountered, are kind of getting tripped up on?
So that's a fascinating question, because really this comes down to a matter of, who do I have around me? Who do I listen to? Who do I trust?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have people who are at all involved in this infinite banking concept, then you have an amazing support group. I read Nelson Nash's book, Be Your Own Banker, and I have read it over the last 4 years. I've read it 5 to 7 times. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning. Remember, we're talking about what holds people back.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled the trigger quickly.
Same.
That's part of being older and having more experience and more trust in myself.
Definitely.
Because I said, this makes sense. Once it was explained to me, I said, this makes sense. So I pulled the trigger. Now I got to understand it. So I would wake up at 2:30 in the morning, but how do you do this? And how do you do this? And if I do it this way, what happens?
Yep.
And the interesting part about infinite banking that I like is the whole concept of the word infinite, because each of us is unique. Each of us look, not everyone's my age. Not everyone's your age. Not everyone starts at different levels and does different things. They have different ideas about how they want to run it. They have different levels of risk. So this part, when you look at it, the only thing I would say is, if you really start to look at the numbers, if you really start to look at this and just suspend the disbelief and say, okay, this has been used for over 200 years. People smarter, wiser, and far wealthier than me use this on a consistent basis. Then what I would say, and this is the part, is I would look for people that you trust as your provider. I would look and ask questions and be curious and say, how does this work? But please, you don't have to know everything. I'm living proof of that. Like I said, you'll have sleepless nights. You'll wake up and go, oh my. And Shawn, what was funny is, my biggest concern when I did my first policy was, how am I going to come up with the money?
Yep. I know it's a big one for a lot of people.
And now I look at it and I go, I didn't even think about it, because somehow after 4 years in setting up systems and investments, it all works. And then you go, how does it work? And I go, I don't know. It just works. But I'm glad I took the step and did it.
One of my mentors always tells me, a lot of people want to know what time it is. They don't want to know how the watch is built. I don't need to know how the watch is built to know that it works. There's far smarter people out there than me. I just want to know, when I look at that watch, that time is right. And I think that's exactly what infinite banking does. There's so many opportunities, so many different things that people can utilize. That's why I love this event, especially you're getting a lot of minds together that are doing so many different things. And you're just like, I never even thought about that. The opportunities are abundant. And I think, I think at the end of the day, open mind, rethinking your thinking. It's just coming to the table with a blank slate. Hannah always says on her podcast, if we could do this same system with water bottles, we do it with water bottles. It just happens to be whole life insurance. I apologize. That's what it is, but it is what it is.
Wait, you just sparked something. I have to say this. There is an element that is inside of infinite banking that I have witnessed over the years, because I've paid tax for so many years. And this idea of what the level of fees are and taxes are, and the ability to take your policies and when you die or transfer them, to have it be after tax and outside the tax bracket is a huge thing.
Yes,
I
very
wouldn't
underrated.
I would not have thought about that at the age of 25.
No.
But at the age of 68, I'm sitting here looking at this saying, no, this is a deal. I've been through probate with my mom.
Mm.
We've seen it. I've seen what happens. I'm going, no, this is a deal. And it's a very expensive deal. So it's one of those things to really think immediate and today and think long term, and then think, as they would say, about the future generations that may come behind you and what kind of, I don't like to use the word legacy, but what kind of wisdom you can pass forward
Yeah.
for the people in your family who may never know about this.
Yep.
And it's an impact that's, again, as I get older, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Well, Byron, I appreciate you, sir.
A pleasure.
And, I look forward to growing this relationship with you. And
Absolutely.
it's all about the process. Appreciate you.